Is the Roki Sasaki experiment falling apart in LA? After another shaky start in Colorado, his ERA now sits at 6.1 and his whip is near 1.9. There are calls to move Roki to the bullpen every day, especially with Edwin Diaz undergoing elbow surgery. The closer role is wide open and people want Roki to move back. But before we send him down to the bullpen, let's look at his analytics and his data and see what just that one fix he needs is to be successful in the MLB. There he is. God, it's such a good quality pick. Holy moly. All right. If we look at his ERA, it's currently sitting at 6.11. And his FIP is also 6.36, which is showing that he's currently struggling with walks and home runs, which could lead to a high FIP. But if we look at the expected numbers, they're slightly lower, but still definitely concerning. Expected ERA is lower, and his expected FIP is also lower. This shows that he might see some better results soon. And the most encouraging is his Sierra is also low. It shows that he's getting ground balls. They're just finding holes. Now, his stuff numbers aren't above league average, but the main thing is his location is well below league average. That seems to be his current problem right now. If there's one bright side to look at, it's his splitter and slider whip percentage are elite. 41.3% for the splitter and 37% for the slider. 30% whiff numbers on a pitch are pretty good. So the fact that these are over that is awesome. He just needs to be in favorable counts. If we look at his plate appearances with not being in a favorable count, he's thrown 69 fastballs when he's behind in the count, which is 45.3% of the time. So he's forced to throw in the zone. That's when the damage is being done. If we can see here, there's a lot of misses, but also a lot of balls in the zone, which, is what he's supposed to do. But his fastball is pretty flat, which is leading hitters to tee off on it. It doesn't matter how fast it is. If it doesn't have that crazy movement, they're going to hit. Here he walked 5 guys and threw 94 pitches in only 4 innings. If we move over to the mechanics and game log, his fastball lost around 1.7 miles per hour of velocity between the first inning and the last inning. It looked like he had zero command, which strained his stamina. Now in the Rocky start, Sasaki had a completely different mindset. There was a 10% increase in overall zone percentage, so he was focusing on pounding the strike zone. In this game, he threw less pitches and more innings technically, 78 and 4.2, and he only walked 2 guys. Now here's the bad part of the Rockies start. If we filter out here and focus on just the Rockies, we can see here that nobody whiffed on his fastball. If they swung, they did not miss. His fastball was getting crushed. It was hard hit 71% of the time in Colorado. And why was it getting hit so hard? Well, let's throw in another game. Let's throw in this previous game, the Rangers game. His fastball had less rise to it in the Rockies game versus the Rangers. So it didn't have as much movement, and it didn't have as much horizontal break either. Both of those numbers were down. So he stopped missing arm side a little bit. He did it by slowing down his arm, so his 97-mile-an-hour fastball lost its life. It became really flat. Major league hitters were crushing that every single time. Now if we go down to the mechanics and game logs tab I set up here, if we look at the Rangers game here, his front shoulder was flying open early, which causes his arm to drag and led to those wild misses high and arm side. And we can see here, his mechanics are starting to change just a little bit. The release extension is very similar. The height is a little similar. But here the side where he releases the ball from the middle of the rubber changes. It's not as far out as it was in his previous 2 starts. In this Rangers start, it was his first game releasing from this far out, and it showed because he was a little wild in that game. In the second game, with these new mechanics, it was against the Rockies, and he was more focused on pounding the zone and not really throwing his slider and slowing the pitch down a little bit, which had an impact on his shape of the pitch, which meant it got crushed. If the coaching staff can work on his front side mechanics, force his glove side to stay tucked and closed longer so his arm can catch up and snap through the release point cleanly, he should be able to have better location, and that was where he becomes deadly. Maybe by the next 2 to 3 starts, we'll be able to see some improvement in his locations and it won't look as wild as it does now. Also, another issue is Roki doesn't really have that many innings in major leagues. The MLB ball is notoriously hard for pitchers to get used to when they come over from Japan. It's a lot slicker than they're used to, and it's not pre-tacked like the MPB ball. So hopefully he's working on grip adjustments and finding the right combination of rosin and sweat to be able to create a good grip without violating the rules. Maybe by his next 4 starts, he should be able to get more feel for the ball, and that'd be something he can adapt to, and improve his location. I think when Shohei first came over in the league, he also had those same issues, but now he's looking good. I'll continue to keep track of his starts and these numbers and see how things progress throughout the season. But I'm really invested in Roki because I truly believe he can be elite. He just has so much pressure on him currently, forced to succeed, which might be getting in his head a little bit. But I think if he can figure out his location issues, he can be one of the best pitchers in the MLB. The whiff rate being extremely high on his splitter is truly game breaking. One pitcher I believe I see a lot of similarities with Roki this season, even though he doesn't have as many pitches, is rookie season Hunter Green. Now, Hunter Green was 2 years younger than Roki is now when he made his debut. But if we look at the numbers here, these things look pretty similar. There's very similar ex-Wobicon, .403 for Roki, .407 for Hunter Green. They have pretty fast four-seamers, 97 versus 90. Oh wow, 99. But the movement is slightly similar. Roki's not getting as much spin on the fastball as Hunter Green is, but also Hunter Green has one of the best fastballs in the MLB, so a little bit less spin isn't that bad. But if we look at the numbers here, Hunter Green was having the similar zone percentage issues. He wasn't in the zone a lot, but he was getting a little bit more chase and a little bit more whiffs than Roki is. Now for Roki, he has that game-breaking splitter that Hunter Green does not have. There was one thing Roki could work on throughout the season and maybe in the offseason is developing a fourth pitch. Here, Hunter Green also had a sinker that he only threw 4 times, but he's still working on it, while Roki only has these 3. Hunter Green's slider was his best pitch on generating whiffs, and it was at 38.2. Roki's slider is nearly there, and his splitter is a little bit higher. So Roki has 2 great swing and miss pitches. He just has issues locating his fastball. If he can locate his fastball and get in favorable counts, he will be successful. Roki's next start is against the Cubs, which will be a good challenge for him. The Cubs generally don't chase outside the zone a lot, and it'll be interesting to see how many 3-ball counts Roki gets into. A lot of the hits he was giving up against the Rockies, he was in 2-0 counts and then throwing his flat fastball in the zone and it was getting punished. If he can get ahead of the Cubs, he might be successful and have a good outing. I think as long as he works on his release and being consistent in that delivery, he'll become more accurate throughout the season and then be much more effective. What do you guys think? Do you think Roki should just go in the bullpen, or he should go to AAA and figure it out? Or are you okay with the Dodgers consistently throwing Roki in there just to work on his game while playing in the major leagues? If Roki Sasaki has no fans left, that means I am dead. I will support him through and through. I'm okay with him being tested in the major leagues. It is frustrating to watch sometimes, but I believe the juice is worth the squeeze, and seeing him succeed would be the cherry on top. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.